The next question is a really topical one. We're heading towards the end of the year, the Christmas break. What brake pads are going to be best for a vehicle that's loaded up or a four-wheel drive or somebody towing? What's the best way to choose a pad for that environment, but at the same time you're going to unhook and drive normally?
Yep. Yeah, really good question actually, Jason, because it's the full drive space and the that light commercial vehicle space. It's the fastest growing segment in our car park. So if you look at top 10 every month, Hilux, Ranger, Land Cruisers in there, Prados in there, and it's since we've lost Holden, Ford and Toyota locally, those vehicles are really high up in the sales and in the car park. So, but they're all used differently. So we almost need, we do have segments within four-wheel drive. So we've now seen people in, a Prado, it's the family wagon, it's come out of a territory, we've gone into a Prado. And again, it's similar to around town, so you want quiet operation, dust-free. Then the next level, we've got a couple of different segments. So we've got the tradie dual cab ute. So often it's loaded up with tools and equipment and whatever.
Very heavy.
Absolutely. Loaded up during the week, off to job sites and doing all those sorts of things. Come the weekend, tools come out, the boat might go on the back or the jet ski might go on the back, and it's then used as a family truckster. So again, you've got this vehicle that's going from being used very heavily, probably around town, so you've got lots of stop-start. So our Bendix HD, we recommend that for that application. It's
because those cars are also spending time at a job site, and they're a very heavy vehicle.
Yes.
They'll jump in the vehicle cold, without it being warmed up, without driving around, drive half an hour to the next job, and they've got a couple of big stomps on the brake.
Absolutely.
Stop, cool down, rinse, repeat.
Yeah, and that's it, and that's what that pad's designed for. So it's designed for constant high temperature use. So we see that it's a similar material. We put it in, courier vans and those sorts of things. And again, it works well in a high temperature environment. And then when you're not loaded, it still feels fine. It still feels usable. It's
interesting seeing some of these manufacturers as well. This conversation and this question is very specific about choosing the right brake pads. But when you pull up at lights now, you always look at the brakes because you can see them through the rims.
Yes.
And these new four-wheel drives and SUVs, they're getting big brake packages, aren't they?
They're starting to, And so that was one of the challenges we had up until this last couple of generations of vehicles, is that if you look at let's say an early PX Ranger, the size of the brakes on that is much smaller than what you had on a Falcon on a heavier car. So that brake's working a lot harder than it ever did in a Falcon Ute, for instance. So, it's only now that the new Ranger, we're actually starting to get back to, dare I say, Falcon type brakes. It's remember, they've still got drum brakes on the rear, and so the front's doing all the work. So
and leaf springs.
Correct, and you're paying for it. So, so it's an interesting, and those dual cabs too, there's another segment that we're starting to see, which is partly the dual cabs, but also things like, Land Cruiser and Nissan Patrol wagons, where people will load them up. They will fit a bull bar, you'll fit a draw system, you'll fit, fridge and slides and dual batteries and all these other things. And it's really easy to add 500 to 800 kilos to it.
That's huge.
That's it before you do anything. So what happens is people will go and say, right, I'll do a suspension upgrade so I can carry the load so it's not dragging its bum. And then guess what? If you put 800 kilos extra on your car, it doesn't quite stop the same as it did when it came from the factory. So we've got an ultimate four-wheel drive pad and program that goes with that. So again, and those really heavy towing. So we're seeing, people buying bigger and bigger caravans. You're seeing caravans at 3 tonne.
Yeah.
You're seeing the vehicle loaded up with an extra 800 kilos on it.
And you're seeing them above the vehicles now, especially the four-wheel drive ones with the raised chassis on the caravans.
Yes.
And they're creating almost an air brake.
Yes.
Which really does obviously draw on the car, but then when you're slowing down, it's not helping.
No, correct. I mean, you do have brakes on the trailer. It's a legal requirement, but still, even with the brakes on the trailer, you've still got extra weight on the vehicle, the extra downforce from the tow ball, so from the drawbar of your caravan.
Yeah.
And so then you've just got this mass. When you stop and think of the numbers, it could be 6.5 tonne rolling down the road.
You don't want to get it wrong, do you?
No, you don't.
You don't want to get it wrong.
And so that's the trade-off. It's sometimes you spend a lot of money on those vehicles and what you tow, you're probably worth spending a few more dollars on your brakes, and just make sure that whole combination is working as best as it can.